What's going on, guys, and welcome back to LOI Fan TV. And yes, it is that time of year again, the round of the FAI Cup where all the big boys come into play. And we've actually been given a bit of a whopper draw this year. A lot of the Premier Division sides have actually drawn each other this early on, so a big opportunity maybe for a smaller team to get further on as some of the big boys drop out early. We of course have Dundalk playing at home to Shamrock Rovers on Sunday, and on Friday night we have Drogheda at home to Sligo, I believe, as well. But the big one, and the one we'll be talking about in this video, is the rerun of last week's Premier Division fixture. It is of course Bohemians against Shelbourne at Dalymount Park. It's an absolute blockbuster of a tie. I know Foes fans sometimes kind of play it off as being less of a derby and Shells minnows and stuff, and they kind of just say that to try and convince themselves nearly sometimes that it isn't as big a deal as it is. But this is a massive game for both sides. It's kind of a game as well where I don't think, obviously cup games you can see rotation, and I think in the earlier stages of cup games like this you'd like to be getting kind of a weaker side so you can rotate your team a little bit, give new players an opportunity to come in, and also rest some of your regular starters as well. But that will not be the case in Dalymount Park on Friday night. Both sides will see this potentially as their best avenue of getting into European football for next season. Of course, they're both still in with a very strong shout of getting fourth place in the league, which should deliver a European football for next season. But of course, both sides would love to. Of course, the two clubs that are rich in history and rich in silverware, and they want to deliver trophies for their supporters. It's been a little while since either of them have delivered a trophy at the top flight, an FAI Cup or a Premier Division title, so the fans are kind of itching for it now at this stage, and it's such a big game this early on. Just looking at these two sides head to head so far this season, of course we did have that 1-1 draw at Talca Park last week. It was a very close affair. It was actually a very good game. It was kind of perceived to be that kind of tight game, and then we've seen it with the other Bows Shells games so far this season where there's not an awful lot of quality really. It's more of a battle, it's more of a who can kind of land the first blow and sit back in and defend that lead. But on Friday I thought it was quite end to end, and both sides kind of went for it to a degree, I thought, as well. So obviously there wasn't a plethora of chances really, but both sides definitely did have a go. I don't think we can really count the Leinster Junior Shield or whatever it's called, the Leinster Senior Cup. I don't think we can really count that, so we'll ignore that result because both sides played heavily rotated teams. It was pretty much an under-19s game. We of course had the game at Dalymount on the 26th of May. We had Bohemians 0, Shelburne 0, very tense, tight affair. And then on the 3rd of March, the only win registered in the league by one of these sides, Shelburne beat Bohemians by 1-0. Keane Levy with that goal. And maybe that's a concerning point for Shelburne just on the face of it, is that the 2 goals they have scored against Bohemians this season have come through Keane Levy, who is now playing for St Patrick's Athletic. And then of course last Friday, Jack Moylan, who I think that's pretty much was his last game for Shells. It looks like he's on the move to Lincoln in League One, so I'll be surprised if he features on Friday night. I think that's a done deal. I don't think he'll be playing again for Shelburne, which is a massive. It's hard to put into words how big a blow that is. He scored 8 goals, I believe, this season for Shelburne. He's been so integral to everything that's gone right in the attacking third for Shelburne this season. He's been their real outlet. He's been a source of magic. He's been a fan favourite, and his loss is, it's hard to put into words how destructive it is for Shelbourne's season in terms of their hopes for maybe sneaking fourth in the league, in terms of their FAI Cup aspirations. It's so damaging. It's hard to even put it into words. And of course we saw Harry Wood come on off the bench for Shelburne against Bohemians last week. Don't know if it's just me, but I thought he didn't look great at all. He looked a bit off it. Maybe, I know he's just after joining. I think it's only his 2nd game for Shell, so obviously it's very new to him still. He might be, it's pretty much, he's probably in pre-season. Obviously he's on loan from Hull, so he's in that kind of pre-season territory, so it's going to take him a few weeks to get going again. That's the concerning thing as well. They're being linked with a player, another loanee from Hull, as another Moylan replacement, and it's a case of he's going to be in that kind of pre-season kind of form and that pre-season fitness and stuff as well. So that is the concerning point for Shells. It's gonna take too long to get these players up to speed, and their season could be well and truly over by then. So that's definitely a concerning point for Shells. As for the host Bohemians, they'll definitely come into this with a little bit of confidence. Obviously they had that really rough patch of 8 or 9 games where they only won one game, I believe, but they have started to turn around a little bit in their performances, and they looked a little bit better towards the end at Talca Park. At Talca Park they looked a little bit better towards the end of the game, I thought. They started a little bit slowly maybe, but towards the end they probably looked like the side maybe that was more inclined to go and win it in the end. And of course Afolabi on the score sheet once again, which is a massive plus. He's turning into a shrewd piece of business. I always kind of knew he was going to come good. He's such a talented player. He has all the minerals, all the attributes, everything you want in a centre forward. He really is the full package, and I think he's going to have a really strong end to the season and could propel Bowes into 4th position. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. I didn't really rate Declan Devine's comments. I've really loads of time for Declan. Really nice guy. I've had him on the channel before. He's so kind to give us his time. He's a really good person. But I thought it was coming out and saying Afolabi is getting harsh treatment and stuff. I don't really subscribe to that theory personally. Bowes defenders do exactly the same thing to Sean Boyd, and fouls aren't given, fouls are given. This is the way the game is played, the way things go. I know obviously it's a little bit maybe to get in the refs' heads, and I understand that point of view as well, to try and get a little bit more out of the refs. So maybe that was a bit of a ploy there, and that's fair enough. That's tactic. That's what the top class management's all about, and trying to get those little 1% decisions in your favour to try and make all the difference. And that's what it's going to be in this game. It's going to be a tight, tense affair. We've seen that with Shells this season. They've conceded 17 goals, I believe, which is title winning stuff. It's 24 games in now. 17 goals conceded is absolutely outstanding for a team that's in 6th place. That is absolutely fantastic, and Bowes really do struggle to break down Shells' low block, and I can see that being another feature of Friday night's game. It's going to be a really that's the route to victory for Shells. Make it really frustrating that they're so good at it. Damien Duff sets the side up in a perfect way for the players that he has available to him and the budgets he has and stuff like that. He sets his team up in such a good way to try and get results, and he does get them. So that he's going to be, it's obvious what Shelburne are going to be going there to do. Whereas Bowes will be trying to get on the front foot and trying to get on top of possession, and possession stats will probably have a little bit more of that, a little bit more of the ball. So it's going to be interesting to see how Declan Devine approaches it. That Danny Grant situation, I think it's probably a little bit too early for him to be starting games. It's probably going to take him 3 to 4 weeks maybe to get up to speed. Obviously, as I said, with the whole lads, the same thing applies to Danny Grant. Obviously, he was with Huddersfield and Harrogate, I believe it was, on loan last season, so he's in that kind of pre-season mode as well. So it's going to take him a couple of weeks to get up and running. So you might get a little cameo off the bench depending on how the game is going, but we'll see. Remains to be seen what happens there. Routes to victory for Bowes, I think it's getting Keith Buckley out of right back. Wasn't fancying him at all there in the first half against Shells. He was much improved and pushed into midfield in the second half. He was involved in the goal as well. I believe he got the assist for Apolabi's goal. He's much better in that midfield position. I don't think he's a full back really. I know he's still coming back from that hiatus in Australia that he had, so he's still kind of coming up to speed. I think he's up to speed now. I think he can be moved back into the middle, and he's so important there, so vocal, so good for organisation and stuff as well. So I think to get him back in the middle will be crucial. I think maybe James Clark has earned a right to start this game. He's obviously had a couple of really good cameos off the bench, and that is a big factor as well. Sometimes players are better at making that little bit of an impact off the bench, and he maybe is one of those players, but I think he's good enough to be starting games as well. I believe Akintunde is still a doubt. I don't think he'll be back in time. I think he's still out injured, so that's obviously a big loss for them. So we'll probably see Declan McDade again. I think Ali Coote could maybe come in, I think, from the start. I think he's a player that can, against these low blocks, if he can get the ball in the final third, he's a player. I think he's one of Bowes' best players to break down a team like Shells. He is that kind of creative force. He's jinxed around players. He can beat a man, beat two men. He can play a nice decisive ball. So when Ali Coote's on it, I think he's one of Bowes' best players, but he's a little bit inconsistent. We've seen that, but I think it's worth a risk to get him into this team for this game. I think it's about staying patient for Bowes. I know they're going to be looking to try and get an early goal, and if Shells do concede early, they do tend to not necessarily not getting back into the game, but it is a tough uphill battle for them, because does go against, it kind of negates their game plan from the off, just keep it tight and don't concede anything silly. So Bowes will be need to be patient in this one. I don't think there won't be many goals, and if they're going to have to try and not do their best not to get frustrated, keep trying to find little pockets of space, keep the ball well, and yeah, I don't know, it's going to be tough to break them down, but Bowes should be confident. They should take some confidence, I believe, from last Friday's display and bring that into this Friday. But yeah, it's going to be a tough battle for them, no doubt about that there. For the visitors, Shells, we obviously, as I said, we know exactly how they're going to set up in the 5, the back formation, kind of a 4 in 2 in midfield, and maybe it's kind of a 5-3-2 nearly these days, isn't it? So that's with Moylan playing off Boyd. Will there be a kind of a slight system switch? Maybe Caffrey will go up up alongside Boyd, maybe something like that. So remains to be seen exactly how Duffer plays it. Going to be interesting to see how he approaches it in that final third. It's been a real problem for Shells at scoring goals this season. Boyd is a good striker in his own right. It's just getting the players around him and trying to create opportunities for him. But yeah, defensively, as I said, they've been Jose Mourinho 2005-esque stuff. Obviously taking a lot of inspiration defensively from the, Jose, the special one. So we've seen them being so good at the back, and yeah, that's their main strength. They've obviously got really energetic midfielders in Mark Coyle and JJ Lunny, who can get around the pitch so well. And JJ Lunny in his own right is a player that could be crucial for Shells here. He's probably better than Mark Coyle on the ball. He can find passes. He can break the line. So JJ Lunny is definitely a player that Shells will be looking to get on the ball on Friday, and he's obviously has a lot of experience in League of Ireland, still only kind of 25 years of age, so still young enough and kind of yet to enter his prime per se, but he's had so much experience. He's obviously played alongside Keith Buckley for Bows for years, so he's played in these big games, he's been in these occasions, he knows how to do it, so he's going to be integral for Shells, you feel. And to be honest, I hate to say it, obviously for Shells they've one of the best goalkeepers in the league, Conor Kearns. I wasn't overly pleased with the signing at the time. I thought it was a risky move to be replacing Brendan Clark with him, and I couldn't have been more wrong. He's been fantastic. He's probably the best goalkeeper in the league, to be honest. No two ways about it. And I saw a statistical graph on Twitter that showed his saves and stuff like that per game, and he's miles clear of everyone else in the league, and obviously 17 goals a season speaks for itself. Whereas at the other end we have seen the error stricken James Talbot in goal, and if I'm Damien Duff, I'm saying pepper shots, pepper crosses, get on top of him. He's a good goalkeeper, James Talbot, but his confidence is on the floor at the moment. We obviously saw last week, definitely could have done a little bit better for that Jack Moylan goal, you feel. And then not too long ago in Sligo as well, he made one of the howlers of the season. So yeah, for James Talbot, I think it's definitely a weakness for both that Shells should be looking to exploit. You'd be peppering the goal, you'd be every cross, every corner on top of him, put him under pressure, bang into him the odd time, make him just feel off his game. I think there's no better banner for that than Sean Boyd, really, is there? The bit of a shithouse up top could play into Shells' favour. So yeah, this game is going to be absolutely nothing in it, you feel. It's going to be really tight. In terms of a prediction, obviously my heart is saying a certain way, and I'd like to stick with that, but it is going to be very tight, and extra time, penalties, definitely not out of the question. I'm going to just go for a Shelburne 1-0 win. I think they might just be able to nick it off Bows, but as I said, there's going to be absolutely nothing in this. Anyone saying they can predict this, anyone putting any money on this game is an absolute fool. There's nobody who's going to be able to predict this game. It's so difficult to know. But yeah, really looking forward to it. It's going to be an absolutely cracking occasion in Dalymount Park. Really think this game is going to be an absolute feast for the eyes, and whichever team wins this game, and then depending on what happens on Sunday, obviously Dundalk, Shamrock Rovers, one of them will be gone, one of your Sligo Strahadas will be gone as well, so it really opens up nicely for whichever team can prevail on Friday night. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. How do you think tonight's game is going to go? And if your side is playing in the FAI Cup this weekend, get your predictions down in the comments below as well. Make sure to subscribe if you're new around here. Really is much appreciated. And I will catch you in a bit.